All right, welcome back. Now, one area that almost everyone would admit that the Buhari's administration has given a new lease of life to is the fight against corruption. At the moment, several officials of the previous government and even the country's #3 man and president of the Senate, Senator Bukola Saraki, is standing trial for corruption. The EFCC says monies are being recovered from looters. In fact, the head of the anti-graft body, Ibrahim Magu, says EFCC has recovered billions of dollars in stolen funds from unscrupulous individuals within the last 6 months. Quite a number of individuals and groups have keyed into the anti-corruption campaign of the government, and one individual who has stood out in the anti-corruption campaign is Akin Fadeyi. In April, he launched a campaign known as Not in My Country to help in the fight against corruption. The campaign has actually gained traction since then, and the good news is that the initiative is self-funded. Akin Fadeyi now joins me in the studio to talk more about this campaign and the fight against corruption in Nigeria. Akin, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me, DEJI.
First of all, for people to really have an understanding of what you do, I want the audience now to take a look at one of the video skits you put together, one of the works you created that is basically summarizes what you do. Let's take a look at that video now, and when we come back, we'll talk with Akin.
Corruption not in my country.
That was a very good business.
Yeah.
The furniture you brought was very perfect.
That's how we roll.
Because let me do you receipts.
Yeah. How much was it again?
1 million naira.
Okay, write 2.5.
Mbano. The deal was for 1 million naira now.
Okay, write 3 million. I'll give you 500.
Oh no, I doesn't do business like that now. Yeah.
Hey, that can give me back my check. Let me go and look for someone that understand business.
Take.
Your loss.
But it is only for incorruptible customers. What are you talking?
Now get out.
What kind of this?
You will just die.
No,
you will die.
That is the door. Now get out from here.
Rubbish.
Look, my people, make una really add money for original invoice price. That's not corruption. Say no, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Now, the video you just watched is a summary of basically what happens in most government contracts. I mean, whether you like it or not, most contracts in this country are usually padded. So it's nothing new at all. It's very common. Akin, it's a common practice. That's a common practice in Nigeria. No question about it. But let's talk about this whole idea, about fighting corruption. You hardly see young people, come up with concepts like this. What exactly was the inspiration behind this?
All right, thank you very much, DG. The inspiration is, first and foremost, driven by patriotism. Because the truth is, we've all traveled out of this country at one time or the other, but we really never fit in. If you sit in the bus, if you sit in Metro bus in the UK, and you see so many people, white people surrounding you, you really don't feel like you are a British citizen, even if you are. Anywhere you go in the world, the country that belongs to you is Nigeria. And it's either we save Nigeria, it's either we extricate Nigeria from an impending doom of implosion, social implosion, or we leave it and we all suffer. So, what is driving me? What is driving me is such compelling imperative to fight corruption from bottom up. We've had seminars in Nigeria, we've had workshops, we've had all kinds of engagements within stakeholders to tackle corruption. But the core people that you need to talk to are not there. You don't find mechanics at these seminars, you don't find artists.
Because the general assumption is that corruption only
exists within the elite. So, but the truth is, corruption is every day you wake up, you move out in this country, you encounter corruption. So it's a citizen-led activation.
Because those government officials, I mean,
Yes.
we've been looking at all this while. I mean,
Yes.
first there were citizens, ordinary citizens, before they even became.
Thank you
government
very
officials.
much. They came from amongst us. If you become the governor of, where is your state? I don't know your state. If you become the governor of that state today, DEJI Badmus came from amongst the people.
Exactly.
The local government chairman came from amongst the people. Inspector General of Police came from amongst the people. It means in effect that we need to clean up our acts. When we clean up our acts, we probably trigger a revolution whereby we all awaken our consciousnesses, or we reawaken our consciousness and shun corruption. It's only when we shun corruption from amongst ourselves that we can actually begin to think of evolving into a responsible citizenry. It's when we evolve into a responsible citizenry that we can demand for an accountable leadership. For as long as we don't even know what corruption means amongst us, for as long as you are my mechanic and I give you money to buy me parts to fix my car, and you buy the fake parts and you tell me you bought the original car, and I'm driving that car from Lagos to Ibadan, and I suffer a breakdown, and another mechanic comes to say, oh, sorry, this part was a fake part. You are corrupt. The generator repairer, which you're going to see in one of the skits, that continually steals from my part, steals the part in my generator to fix someone else's generator, or steals it to sell it, puts the fake part in my generator so I could keep calling him, because he has turned me into a retainership. So I could keep calling him every week to say, hey, my generator is at fault again. That same generator repairer will go to some pub at night after a bottle of beer. He says government is corrupt, but he's corrupt himself. The cleaner in the hospital that will not take the card of that poor pregnant woman who came for antenatal, that will not take her card to the doctor or to the matron to relate to the doctor, except that poor pregnant woman bribes her, is corrupt. So I am saying, let's have, I took it upon myself, I picked the gauntlet to say, I want to drive a campaign where we all search our souls and ask ourselves, where am I corrupt? In my office, where am I corrupt? In the house, where am I corrupt? In the market, how am I corrupt? So gradually, you see, DEJI, we owe it to ourselves to be in the vanguard of a generational rebirth.
I think you have a very strong point, because, I mean, you look at some of the cases going on in the country today, some of the corruption cases, you don't get that sense of revulsion from the citizens when some figures are mentioned. I mean, I've seen people who, for instance, when some figures were mentioned, they came out to say, well, but that's too small. Some people actually stole more than that, or, oh, this is our man. I mean, so just leave him.
Exactly. Point. It's because we have suffered social corrosion. Our cultural values are already eroded. We don't even feel the pinch anymore when we hear the billions. A secondary school student is talking to you about billions. Let me tell you something. My former boss where I used to work said one day that he went to his secondary school, his old secondary school in JSS, in some town I will not mention. He said, and he found out that the school was now in a deplorable state. He said, so he went to the school authorities to say, you know what, I'm from Lagos. I finished from this school as a secondary school lad, and I'm a little successful, and I'd like to impact this school positively. Let me bring my friends to fix this place. He said, the principal said, oh, this is very good. We welcome anything you want to do. He said, as he was going back, he said, can I talk to some of your students? And they gathered the students. He spoke with them. And as he was going, some of the boys came to him to say, oh, guy, you didn't bring anything for us. Find us something now. He said he suffered a shock. That the kind of things they were talking about, it's about money, 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 money. What can we get now? You need to look at the kind of things we talk about now. You need to see what has metamorphosed into our vocabulary.
I mean, and those are the young people who would definitely develop
the leaders of tomorrow. And about to keep talking about our cultural values, which has been completely eroded, look at the kind of infusions, vocabulary infusions into our lingo now. Our street lingo is Yahoo Yahoo. It's 419. Even if a lover cheats another lover, you hear, oh, that guy just 419'd me. You know, you hear as Maga paid, Mugun don't pay. Something is gone wrong with us as a nation. And the earlier we intervene to solve it, to attempt to contribute our own quota to this, we need to invest in social capital. We need to begin to tell ourselves, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong.
No doubt. It's good that you're fighting this from the very base, because whether or not we like it, the people who are leaders of this country today, people who have stolen this nation blind, actually came from somewhere. I mean, as I said before, they were actually ordinary citizens before they became leaders. Now, let's talk about the government. Yeah. Good thing you're fighting this from the grassroots, but then the government government is also waging its own war, beginning from the top. And as we know, the present government has been going after some top leaders in this country, especially those who served in the previous government and some of those who even served in other governments. I mean, they are being prosecuted now for corruption. What do you make of the government's effort now at fighting corruption?
Frankly speaking, I think for the first time in the history of this nation, we have a government that audaciously has stepped out to say we want to tackle corruption headlong. And I say this without fear of equivocation. I say this without fear of, oh, is he speaking for government? I'm not speaking for government. I've never met President Buhari in my life. He doesn't know what I look like. But as a Nigerian citizen, I feel proud now that at least we're hearing cases of corruption being brought up. We're hearing some...
Are you shocked at some of the figures that have been bandied around? I mean, quite shocking. You hear of 2 billion, 3 billion, quite shocking. I mean, for me, we've always known there's corruption in this country. We've always known that sometimes people you put in political positions or positions of leadership now steal, but not at the scale we're seeing it being mentioned now.
I'm not shocked, DEJI. And I'll tell you why I'm not shocked. Vanguard, I read some stories in Vanguard 2010, and in the year 2000, I read something. There's a particular Professor Muzali Jubril that he was giving a lecture somewhere, and he said, you know what? Corruption has dated back to Nigeria's history. He said some of our founding fathers, our forefathers that we really look up to as nationalists were corrupt. And all around, you pick snippets of information of this estate is owned by so person. This is owned by... Now, you pick those names where they really can't be charged because we respect them a lot. Also, it's graduated gradually into the different regimes and governments we've experienced in this nation. And we've always heard about those figures. The only reason it's now billions, it's a symbolism of our crashed currency, you know. So what we used to hear as millions then are now billions now, as it were. So I'm not shocked. What I'm shocked about is the lack of political will to confront corruption in the past. Why is it that government in, government out, we've taken corruption as business as usual?
How would you expect a corrupt individual to fight corruption anyway?
That's the point. The point is because there has been lack of political will, because frankly speaking, those in government need to also do a soul search. That even when they go to events, to occasions, and they read the speeches to say we're going to fight corruption, when they get back into their rooms, what kind of calls do they make? What kind of deals do they strike? Now, that's left for government. But it takes you back to corruption not in my country, which I created. Governments can keep tackling corruption from amongst themselves. They can keep taking people to court. I'm happy it's happening, irrespective of whatever anybody says. At least it is happening now.
That is true.
Now, I know there is the issue of, but it's some people. There are some other people. Democracy, the beauty of democracy is it keeps evolving. And as it evolves and evolves, those who should pay for destroying the fiber of a nation will pay. But at least it is happening. A government is confronting it now. And I think this government needs all the encouragement it can get.
You're absolutely correct.
I did not create Not in My Country this year. I thought about the concept in 2006. And I just kept breathing life into it gradually and gradually and gradually. It's just a very fortunate coincidence that it's happening now. But those who are close to me, they know that I created the concept of Not in My Country very, very long ago. I'm saying, let government battle themselves.
And then you will battle this
amongst the people, the mechanics, stop being corrupt. Generator repairer, stop being corrupt. Nurse, stop being corrupt. Doctor, stop being corrupt. Akifadeyi, don't be corrupt. DEJI360, don't be corrupt.
Okay, at this point, let's take a look at another skit now. Right. Yeah, let's take a look at that.
Corruption not in my country.
Mr. Job! Mr. Job! What is it now?
What is it now?
Please turn down the volume of your music. It's too loud.
And how is that your business?
It is disturbing me. I can't sleep.
And the same way you are disturbing my right to good music and where I enjoy it. Eh? What's wrong with you? Is another person complaining?
Maybe we thought that you have lost your mind. Are you having a party?
I'm just respecting you, sir. You remember I paid my husband too.
You will not understand why we are complaining because you do not care about other people except yourself. Look, the transformation we need in this country begins in this compound.
Yes, now.
From you, and I. This your selfishness is an offshoot of corruption. And corruption not in my country. Go to your bank. Go.
Corruption not in my country.
Well, that's another skit. Now, very importantly, it's still baffling that up till this moment, quite a number of us in this country still do not know and still do not believe that our biggest problem and the only reason why we're not where we're supposed to be at this moment in history is because of corruption.
Well, it's partly because, again, we've lost it. We've lost the consciousness. Number two, some of us have not felt, we don't know we are feeling the effects of corruption. Do you know that in the year 2000 alone, the effects of health sector, the effect of the corruption in the health sector led to 50,000 maternal deaths. Women that just kept dying because the health sector was totally in a deplorable state. Now, if you put that into a ratio, 50,000 souls dead times 365 days in a whole year is like you have a plane crash that is killing 136 souls every day. That's how bad corruption is for us in this nation. Now, if you don't feel the effects of corruption in the hospital, don't you feel it on the roads when you travel? Don't you feel it when you even sit in your house and there's power outage? It's all from corruption. But for as long as, look, I find my way, let me just find my way. I get my own things done. People don't care until something happens to them. Look at the skit you just watched. That guy was just blaring his music. He will not care about someone else. There's that woman that came to tackle him probably had a child in the room, or she's probably even ill. But look at what the guy said. I paid my rent, so don't disturb me. Go to your apartment. We're so territorial. We're so protective of selfish desires. So as a nation, we need to run away from it. We also need to care a lot about what the international community feels about us. In 2011, Transparency International Perception Index says out of 183 countries considered, Nigeria picked 144th position in corruption. In 2012, out of 176 countries considered, Nigeria was 139 position. In 2013, out of 174 nations considered, Nigeria was 136. Now, wait for it. All the crude oil sales that has happened in Nigeria, we heard we've sold like up to 300 billion. And out of that 300 billion, we heard that 90 billion has been stolen. Now, as at the time I read that report, Nigeria's debt was just 35 billion that needed to be paid. Let me ask you a question, DEJI. Do you think a governor of a nation or a minister will actually pick the 3 billion that is his own fraction of the fraud and takes to some bank? No. He couldn't have stolen that money without the active connivance of some permanent secretary, some clerk, some accounting officer.
And of course, they all got their own costs.
And some culpable characters within the banking sector. So we are all corrupt in a way. Yes, we should tackle government. We should continue to tackle government. We should continue to write. I've written many times against corruption. There was a time I wrote The Many Faces of Terror, and I was actually speaking against corruption. Yes, we'll continue to call government to accounting. But amongst ourselves, let's tackle corruption first. Let's evolve this nation to such a state where one day the governor of a state will call you and say, I have so amount of money, let me launder it. And you say, no, Mr. Governor, go spend that money on your state. Until we get to that point in this country, then we don't have a nation.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
In rounding up now, where do you intend to take this?
Well, where we intend to take this is to such a point that the international community will begin to respect Nigerians. And let me give you the example. If some guy comes here to do business and he goes to a ministry and he says, I heard you guys are corrupt. Let me fast track my file. Here, this is $500. And a Nigerian clerk says, no, I earn salaries. Be on the queue. But be sure that your files will move. That guy will go back to his country to say, Nigeria has changed. We've produced 1 minute Not in My Country skits, which we intend to play on TV if we get partners, if we get sponsors, because it's been self-funded, solely, private initiative. Now, we intend, it's 1 minute, because our attention span is very, very short, because so many things distract us. Those 1 minute will go on TV, it will go on social media. If you go on Facebook and you type Not in My Country, you'll see it will pop up. It's on Instagram, it's on Twitter, and people can call me to discuss. We welcome volunteers, we welcome ideas. We want people to join hands with us. It's non-sanctional, it's not political. Like I said, the president does not even know me. I don't know him. It is just that I do think that we can begin to be in the vanguard of a generational rebirth, to engender mutual respect within this nation and evolve into a Nigeria that the whole world can be proud of.
Well, Akinfade, thank you very much for coming on the program, and let's just hope we get the message on corruption. But to be candid, I always say this, that really, as the president said, if we actually do not kill corruption, corruption will kill us. It's really bad. It's really bad. Well, that's it on the program. If you want to watch it again, it's simple. Just go to our website, log on to www.tv360nigeria.com. You'll find this video and lots more there. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, and the address, of course, is youtube.com/TV360Nigeria. Do subscribe now to get latest videos and updates. So just join us on Google Plus at TV360Nigeria, or like us on Facebook. The address is facebook.com/TV360online. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at TV360 Online. Thank you very much. And as we leave you with one more skit from Not in My Country. We'll see you again next week.
Corruption not in my country.
How work?
How correct, Oga?
What is it that you are doing?
Oga, they command the part now. Make we go sell for.
Oga, na correct kuza be this o. Oga Titus and him boys them. They do am. They will command the original parts, sell them, make plenty kusa.
No wonder our customers bring the generator back to our workshop because they're bad. And not because of stuff.
Now because they overuse the generator. Plus say NEPA no they give them electricity.
Before I open my eye, Makachuku look at my talk in the heaven. Replace this original generator parts back inside this generator of my customer. In short, before una do am, frog jump. One. Frog jump. 1, 2, 1. Stealing of generator parts or changing of original parts to a fake one. That is the corruption. Not in my country.